Welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at our study module of the open source church management app that we're working on. We'll get right into it. Here we are at our desk view, and we have our study module selected. We have a study manual here with some details on how to use this module. But we don't need to read that now. I'll walk through the module with you now. So in this module, we currently have sermons, Bible references, Bible verses, and some Bible memory features. So first we will take a look at the core of Bible verses, and we'll build up to Bible references. And then we'll see how these references can be used in both sermons and in Bible memory. So we'll hop into what a Bible verse looks like in the system. So we have a list of specific verses. And in our system here, a Bible verse is a single verse. It's not a whole reference. So a reference will be composed of multiple verses. So we can go into a specific verse, and we can see at the top here that verses can be linked with things. So we can have a Bible reference, a start verse in a reference, and an end verse in a reference that use this Bible verse. So here we have just a very simple reference name, which is auto-generated once we select a book, a chapter, and a verse. So easy enough, right? So we'll hop back over to our verse list and we'll create a new Bible verse. So we can create a verse by choosing a book, do John, do a chapter, or in a verse. And the numbers in this list are automatically populated. So it's not going to give you 1 through 100. It's going to stop at the last verse in the chapter. Okay. So we have John 4:48. Save the verse. And that's as simple as that. We have just a reference up here of what that verse is. And one thing to point out is we do have a button here, which is kind of neat. If you are a user of &Bible, which is an open source Bible study application for Android, I highly, highly recommend it. It's really good. A lot of free resources there. I would say it is top tier when it comes to Bible study, especially on Android. And if you're using that and you're using our management app on an Android phone, you can click this button and it would automatically open this verse inside your &Bible app. So just a unique little button. I know a lot of people might not be using it, but I put it there because I want people to learn about &Bible. So here we are. We'll go back to our study module and we'll see how these verses can be used to create a reference. So we'll come here and now we'll go ahead and just create a new Bible reference right off the bat. So in here on a Bible reference, you have a start verse and you have an end verse if your reference contains multiple verses. You can create a reference just off of one verse. So if we wanted to find our other one, we could do John 4:48. Here's the one we created. And we don't have to specify an end verse here. But for our Bible reference, we do need to specify a translation. So by default, I have the Berean Standard Bible selected. This default can be changed on your church record. So if you were to go back to your main menu, go to your church, and you'd be able to change the default translation. Now, just a note of caution here. If your church uses something like the ESV or a copyrighted Bible, we can't include that here. You can have the translation, but we will not be able to import text from that translation due to copyright issues. So we highly recommend using an open Bible that does not have those encumbrances. The Berean Standard Bible is an excellent version as far as I'm concerned, because it does have 0 copyright issues. So you can select your translation, We do have a pre-populated list of some of the versions out there. Again, not all of these will be able to pull the text in, but this one is an open version, so it will. If you have your start verse and an end verse selected, if they're within a range, you can click this import reference text. And let's see, Bible reference not found. Let's see, do we need an end verse here? Let's see. Let's put our end verse in there. Oh, it's because we didn't save the reference first. So let's go ahead and clear this out. We'll save the reference. Now that we have the reference saved, we can import it. So we'll go ahead and click import, fetches the passage and puts it in here for us. So that's kind of a neat little feature. If you change the translation or something, you can pull the reference text in for that translation. This pulls from bible.helloao.org. Great reference for pulling Bible texts. Okay, and from this, we have a couple options up here. We can assign this reference, now that we have a text in here, we can assign it to a user for them to memorize it, or we can assign it to a whole group of users or people to memorize it. And we can open the reference in our InBible application if we would like. We'll come back to the Bible memory pretty quickly, but I'm going to hop back over to our main workspace. And you can see we've talked about verses, references, and let's talk about sermons, and then we'll hop back again to look at the Bible memory feature. So now that we have Bible references, we can reference the Bible references in sermons. So we'll hop in here and take a look at sermons. So for a sermon, we can have a title for the sermon, an audio recording that can be uploaded to it, who prepared the sermon, if the sermon should be published to the public website, and if it is published, these fields here will be displayed. You can add notes. This is just like a regular Word document. You can add tables, all kinds of formatting here. And you can create a slideshow if you would like. This is, I think, one of the neat features here. If someone were to want to use this for their sermons, you can add whatever you want to individual slides. So we could create a slide maybe that has a church belief in it. And we can pull directly from our system already what we have in there for specific beliefs. Okay. And we'll just show you what that looks like quickly. Click save. And up here at the top, we have an option to present the sermon. So I'm going to go ahead and present it, and this will present the slides that we have here. Okay, and it brings us right to this nice view with the title, the person presenting, and the date. And then we can go to our next slide, which is our Bible belief slide. So in this case, we have a Bible belief here, but we just have the title. We don't have any content. So I'll show you how we can add content. Come down here. First of all, we need to check to make sure that this belief actually has its own content. So we'll hop over there. Okay, we do have a belief statement. So this should show up on our slide. Go back here. And we'll click this pencil icon. This gives us some more details about what's going to show up on this slide. Okay, so this is what we want to show up. But here we can see in our belief document on our site, we have a title for the belief, we have a belief statement, and we have whether or not that belief should be published. Now here we can choose which one of these fields we want to show on our slide. So by default, it will always show the title. So we can check that if we'd like and say that's the title of the slide. But we also want to show the belief statement on our slide. So I'll click that. We don't need to show whether or not the belief is published. Okay, if we wanted, we could add some additional notes here, but we don't need to. So now that we have that updated, I'm going to go ahead and save it. Present our slide. And now we'll see on our slide that we have our title and our belief statement all pulled dynamically from our backend. And we can add as many slides as we want. So we could say, okay, we have a belief, but maybe we want to, in our sermon, talk about a specific person in the church. We could select the person here. And then we'll go into our details and say, what do we want to show about the person? So we could say, let's show the full name. Let's show the photo of the person. Let's show their birthday. Let's show what else? Let's see. If I remember, maybe? Yeah. Let's show your spouse. Anniversary. Okay. So we can select all those things. Which one of these do we want to be the title of the slide? Her name. Come back out. Save. Now we have a second slide. We can rearrange our slides here if we want. We can present. Now we have 3 slides. And here we are. We got our person showing the photo and the birth date. So pretty neat there. All of this stuff just automatically pulls in from the system. And these slide types can be anything that is in the system. It could be a belief. It can be Bible reference is a perfect example. We could find our John reference we just created earlier. We can put that in there. And we might want to show our start verse and our reference. Maybe our translation as well. Put that at the bottom. So all there. And these we can clean up later where it doesn't have to show this. It could just show the reference text without showing some of these titles of the fields themselves. But just a neat little thing there. I don't know if anybody might want to use this thing or not. But the nice part is if you create your slides, you can present it. But not only can you present it, but if you have your sermon published to your public website, you'll be able to go to the public website and you'll see your sermon. Which one is it? Goes this guy. The sermon is published with the notes. And you'll be able to present anybody on the public side, if you publish it, will be able to present the sermon for themselves. So another nice feature there. And if you were to upload an audio file, the audio file would also be shown here with a little play button to be able to play the audio files. Okay, switching back to our workspace, we covered pretty much most of the sermons. You can also track some sermon history if you want, when the sermon was presented and by whom. But now we're going to jump over another minute or two and we'll take a look at our Bible memory features. So the Bible memory features are mostly done from the portal side. So users in the church will be doing the memorization. But on the desk side, the church managers can assign references to people for them to memorize. So we could say, okay, our John 4:48 verse should be memorized. So we can come up here, actions, and we can assign to a specific user for them to memorize it. We could choose our user, Mary Johnson, and then this verse will show up in her portal to show that she should be memorizing this verse. Or if we have a specific group, say we have a small group, we could assign this verse to the whole small group for memorization. So maybe the men's Bible study. Okay, and in this case, none of the users in the group have an account on the system yet. So that's why it's warning you. These people are added to a specific group, but they don't have an account. So what we would want to do is we'd go to each person and say, here's David Thompson. Let's invite him to the portal so he can create an account and have access to the portal. So now we'll hop over to the portal and take a look at what it would look like for someone who's been assigned a verse. So we'll go to the website, go to the user's account. And here we'll see there's a Bible memory section. So if I were to click into there, if I was assigned a verse, it would automatically show up in here. So if I were to assign in as Mary Johnson, which we assigned a verse, she would see it listed here. But we can add a passage ourselves. And we can select our own reference if we don't have one assigned. So we could find that same one if we wanted to. Could do John 4:48. And again, this populates all the possible verses for us. Okay, and then we can do add to my list. We choose a translation if we would like. Nope, that verse already exists. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and just do a different one just so we can see how it works. Add to my list. Okay, so now we have our verse added. And this is 0% memorized. So to memorize this first, we have two options. We can either do the type mode or we can do the blur mode. First, I kind of recommend starting with the blur mode because it allows you just to read over the verse. So here's our Bible memory page. We can see our status up here with our reference, and we can see the text of our verse here. And it gives you a little indicator here. Tap the eyes to reveal the entire verse, which currently is revealed. You can tap the plus button to hide more words, and tap done when you're done to increase your progress by 5%. And it caps you at 99%. So you cannot memorize the verse just by clicking done to get 5% memorized. So here we go. We'll increase the blur. So you can see it blurs it out just enough where you can still read it, but if you're reading it quickly, you don't have to read the blur. Your mind kind of skips over it. And then as you get more confident, you can increase the blur. As you're reading it through each time, increase the blur, until you get pretty much everything blurred out. And once you feel confident with it, you can click done, and it will increase your memorization progress by 5%. So you can say, okay, let's practice again, and it resets it. You can keep doing it. And if you get far enough along and you're like, oh, I forget what these words were, you can just click and hold this just for a second to undo the blur, and then start increasing. Ooh, looks like there's a bug there. Oh, there it goes. It should redo the blur after you let go of it, and it does. Okay, and click done, and we'll go back to the list. So now we're at 10%. But in order to memorize this verse more completely, you can do the type mode. So the type mode will list the words, and you have to type the first letter of each word. Okay, so if I type W, then it highlights it in green. So I can do when he heard that Jesus come from Judea to Galilee, he went and begged him to come down and heal his son who was about to die. Now, when I complete this, it's going to increase by 50%. Oh, 10%. Sorry, because I made too many mistakes. If you make too many mistakes, it only gives you 10% increase. Okay, so I could practice again. And as you can see, the more percent memorized I get, the more blurred these words get. So eventually, once you get up to about 50% memorized, it's pretty much completely blurred out, and you have to type the first letter without seeing anything. If you get you type everything perfectly without making any mistakes, it will increase your memorization percent by 50. So if you get to 50% and you get it perfect, it goes straight to 100. So if you make a bunch of mistakes, it starts to highlight it in red. here, and you'll see that my memorization percent started dropping 2% for every mistake I made. So if I make another mistake, I'm back down to 0% now. And these red highlights, if I were to go out and go back in, you can see that these red highlights remain to show you which words are trouble words that you're struggling with. So you can focus on those words as you type them. So kind of a neat little feature. I think there could be some work done to maybe increase or improve how the progress tracking is done. But it's an honor system basically, and it makes sure that you can type it out without making too many mistakes before it marks you as 100%. Just one last feature here. If you start getting a lot of memory versus memorized, your list is going to get very long. So you can always use this to hide your memorized verses, and it'll just show the verses that you're currently working on. And if you need to, you can always remove them. And there it is. That's the Bible memory. And as the Bible memory sessions are completed by users, the managers can come in here if they would like to see which sessions are being completed. So you can come in here and see which users are completing sessions. And even if they wanted to, they can drill down into the sessions and see what mode they were doing, the progress that was completed, how many mistakes were made. So kind of interesting. Not something that most managers would care to know, but if it was like a Sunday school class or something, you might want to see if your students are actually memorizing or not. So we can see those sessions there, and we can also see which verses are assigned to people. So you can see this verse is assigned to Mary. Oops. And you could filter by users too. So you can see, show me all the verses that are assigned to a specific person. And you can see, the progress. So you could filter by specific progress if you wanted to here as well. You could add a filter for that. Okay, I think this video is long enough, but that is the study module for our church management app. If you have any recommendations for improvement, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on our GitHub or in our Matrix chat, or leave a comment on this video. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.